So this PI planning, or sometimes referred to as big room planning, where we bring the entire agile release train or the entire team of teams together to plan together, sounds like a lot of fun. It also sounds pretty expensive, because you could be talking about bringing 50 to 70 to 125 or more people together in a room and for 2 days. And that's not just what some people consider the lost salary or productive time. A lot of people may actually have to travel to meet face to face. So why are we doing this? What's the benefit of doing PI planning? Well, first of all, and most importantly, it's high bandwidth communications. Agility is about face-to-face, right? It's individuals and interactions. From the manifesto, we also know from the principles that people working face-to-face is the fastest way of problem solving. And this, I believe, helps avoid what sometimes is referred to as the rule of three. And it's very, very simple. Generally, the time that it takes to solve a problem if two people are face-to-face is maybe 3 minutes. If they're at different places in the same building, it may be 3 hours. If they're in different buildings on the same campus, it may be 3 days. And if they're in completely different campuses or completely different cities, it can be 3 weeks. That is a delay in making decisions. And you think for a moment, use your own experience. How much time have you lost having to chase down the people you need to communicate with and problem solve? What we're trying to do here is avoid that loss of time, and also the delays and the pursuing wrong courses of action while we're waiting for a decision, by speeding up the decision-making process. So we're effectively trying to avoid that rule of three. It's also for building the social network. Now, I know a lot of hardcore engineers, this sounds very fluffy, but the fact is that people, when they meet face-to-face, can suddenly, when they see the person they've only talked to on a phone or exchanged emails, the whole social dynamics change, and it facilitates rapid decision making. People become less defensive. There's no longer the other person. It's now Peter or Sanjeev or Ahmed or Alfred, who we know the people much more personally and are much more comfortable with directly interacting with them. From a business perspective, one of the most important things is to align development and business. In other words, do the development teams and the business see the system from the same point of view? Does the development team understand what the business case is for this system? Because, without that, there's too much of a tendency for the development team to gold plate sometimes, or not to meet the technical requirements the business had. Also, does the business appreciate the technical challenges they're asking of the development team? So this is the opportunity for business and the dev teams to work face to face, the business to be able to express via their vision, via their PI objectives, via the team objectives, what we are actually going to build. It's also an opportunity to identify the cross-team dependencies and contentions. A lot of people use SAFE because they have multiple teams working on very large projects, and therefore each team has a piece of the project and they have to integrate these pieces, so we have a number of dependencies. But there's also, many teams can be independent but still have significant resource contentions on other teams because they're either sharing people or test equipment. So this is an effective way for the teams to mitigate their dependencies and contentions for resources up front before they have to figure it out on an ad hoc basis when problems start occurring. And most important is to balance demand with capacity. This is the opportunity for the business to express their demand for services. This is what we need. Here is our vision. Here is our features. and the team to be able to say, well, this is what we can do. And to negotiate and work together to come up with a viable plan, rather than the business, as it sometimes does, simply dumping their demands on the team and saying, well, we need this, you do it. All that ends up doing is creating a lot of work in progress. And for those of you who are studying queuing theory or understand lean product development, you know that excessive work in progress leads to wide variations in scheduling. So this is the thing we really want to avoid.